Welcome back to the TMI FYI podcast. I'm Nat.
I'm Claude.
And I forgot to turn the silencer on my phone. Welcome back. How are you doing, Claude? How's it been hanging?
Good. We have a house full of doggies today. I am dog sitting my dog for baby nephew, Trooper.
Is that a technical term?
I don't know. But he's my niece's dog, so he's my fur nephew. And he doesn't usually stay anywhere. He's very attached, and they're going away on a little weekend thing. And of course, I said, bring him here. It's a little playtime in the yard and stuff, but it's his first day. But he's doing great, though. He's doing great.
Very
he waited.
cute.
He waited at the window a little bit and kind of wasn't sure why she left.
He did attack me at the door, but like in a nice way.
In a nice way. At least he didn't grab your wrist and bring you, because you would have felt that one. But it's day one.
Okay.
He'll be here for 5 days. So it'll be
All
fun.
right. Godspeed.
Yeah. And I'm a little sleepy today. But other than that,
Hence the coffee. We're doing coffee
today's
today.
coffee.
Yeah, see?
Not necessarily cocktail, but we planned.
We're not always drinking.
Not always.
Not
Can't say
always.
always.
Exactly.
So
That would
here
be
we are.
extreme.
How you doing?
I am good. I went to yoga today. Nice hot yoga. Sweat it all out. Got very zen. All the things, and otherwise
And slippery.
It is
Because
a
you get slippery in hot yoga.
You do, and it can. You know what's super gross? It's happened to me a couple times. So
Okay. Here's a plug for hot yoga.
This is a ringing endorsement for hot yoga. No, I really do like it. I actually thought I was going to hate it, and I don't. I like it, but they put the blocks. You know, sometimes you use blocks and little things in yoga. So they put them like on one end of the room. I happen to always go to the other end because I like to be by the door. So when people come in late, I get the little breeze.
I like to just be hidden, like in the back.
Yeah.
And any exercise class, just in the back.
Yeah, but I especially like it in heated because that's where you get the most air. But I have to put the thing back at the end of class, and people have been sweating on that floor for an hour, and then you like
Slip and slide.
you step in it, and it's
Absolutely not.
no, it's pretty gross.
No. You see, and you worry about dog slobber. Come on.
Yeah.
Other people sweat.
And you know what else
I
is
don't
gross?
think so.
You know what else is really
I do
gross?
not think so.
This happens. I haven't seen it. No. But what? This happens to the men who go to the class. I've never seen this
Ball
happen.
sweat.
Kind of.
Oh, see, you don't know. You're stepping in, girl.
The man in front of me, the last time I was there, you do like all kinds of poses. He was like doing like this like squatty thing, and the sweat that was dripping from the ball area and it was like a leaky
stream.
faucet. It was
Like a stream.
And I was just watching it, like trying to really like connect with my breath or whatever. But I was like, no, I can't stop watching this man's sweat just like dripping into his
ball
mat.
waterfall.
His
Oh, no.
ball water. It was, it was gross. So
Do
anyway,
they sell that in stores?
that actually
my
brings
God.
me to, so we're starting a new segment called What's Got Your Bun Twisted, based on episode 1 where we talked a little bit about that. And it actually has to do with yoga, because today, and by the way, I have a running list of things because I am a curmudgeon at heart. So everything bothers me about everybody.
We hate people. We love all of you, but we hate other people.
If you ask me at work, I'm a people person.
Yeah, of course. We're social.
Yeah. So here's the thing, guys. Please stop doing this. And it's mostly the men, but it's also sometimes women.
And we're not male bashing. Just throwing it out there. Today it just happens to get her bun twisted.
Today I got my bun twisted. And I don't know if it was a man or a woman. Honestly, I didn't even look. But okay, so yoga there's a breath component to it, right? Like it's a lot about breathing and connecting the breath, the mind, the body, all that. The people who are breathing like they're having a fucking orgasm during the like exercises, they're just like, and I'm like,
You're not alone.
Like,
it's not sexy time. There are people here.
They're so exaggerated. And I'm like, what are you doing? Like, and every class they always start with like, this is your practice, pretend like no one's here. But I'm
I
like,
can't do that.
But there are people here,
Yeah.
people. So
Yeah.
please, like
Yeah, I can't.
I can't stand it. It makes me so
It breaks my
mad.
concentration. Like you're interrupting my trying to connect with this. Very hard for me. I can't.
Yes.
I've tried a million times, and I like power yoga.
Oh no, see, I like flowy,
I like to move. No, I want to be able. if it's not hot yoga, I want to feel like I at least did something for my muscles, even if it's relaxing or stretching or something. I like the power. I like to feel like I'm getting stronger.
No, I just like to stretch.
Yeah, but I still can't quiet my mind. So to me, at least power yoga, you're moving.
Yeah.
And it gets me through the whole thing.
Well,
a lot.
You would find this very, very distracting. And so people, I just implore you, when you're at a yoga class that is not private, can you breathe normal?
Yeah.
Just,
it is distracting.
It's a lot. So anyway, that's my bun twist. What's got your bun twisted? It's okay if you don't have anything.
It's a little I can just remember like little nitpicky things like around the house stuff. I would just say like push your chairs back in when you get up from somewhere. Put water in if you're going to leave your sink. Okay, let's try that again. If you're going to leave your plates or pots or whatever in the sink, run some water on them.
Oh yeah.
So the shit doesn't stick and then.
That's so gross. Especially like if it's like eggs.
Or pasta with tomato sauce that just sticks to the side, just little house. Nothing right now has me. It's the usual texting and driving. People drive me absolutely nuts. And anytime you go out, there's someone, if not everybody,
I actually thought of you when I was driving. I don't know if it was on the way here today. It couldn't have been today. Maybe it was the last time I was coming over here. A man was full on FaceTiming while he was driving, like full FaceTime. And I'm like,
FaceTime didn't work when you're driving.
Yeah. What?
I don't know. No, I don't know. There's something. I've tried to do it recently and it's like, oh no, while you're moving. I don't know. Yeah. When my husband's in the car and I've tried to pay, he's like, I can't, only the voice comes out, not the video.
He's lying to you. You can
no,
I'm just kidding.
It happens. He doesn't want to see your face.
He just doesn't want to talk to you.
He loves me. I love him.
Well, this guy was fully FaceTiming. So
while he was driving
on the expressway on the Palmetto.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
We love you on the road. Please.
Is there a light on there?
Yeah, we're recording.
I can't see it.
We're recording.
All right. We're doing this on our own today.
Yeah,
so
we have no producer, no one to keep us. So we're going to try to stay on time. We're going to try to stay on topic. We're going to try to do our thing.
And not drag it up. But, we get going and we have lots,
We are going to try to, keep it
streamlined.
We're going to try to streamline a little bit.
As much as we want to have comfy conversation, which is why our visits end up being 8 hours long.
Yeah. We know that there's an audience listening. We want you to be able to follow along. So, so we're going to do our best. So today's topic, as we dive in, is actually a part 2. So we had an episode recently where we talked about pregnancy, the crazy, weird symptoms, the experience.
And there may be a part 3. Depends on how much we get done in part 2. Because we keep coming up with, there's another component that I think is important, and that one's for the fellas, specifically. So we're going to talk to some new dads and get the different perspectives.
Yeah, this is going to be, I just think, let's just call it multi-part because there's
a mini doc.
Yeah, there's a lot to talk about here, but we thought we would kind of
and there they are.
There's the puppy kindergarten.
There he is. and so I think our editor is about to walk in.
So it may be a multi-part series because there is so much to talk about. We left off on pregnancy. I think today what we wanted to touch on, I did want to talk a little bit about giving birth because there were some little things that happened during the
and
giving
you had
birth
two
process.
Interesting.
I had two wildly different experiences.
Yeah, and you had one that is what most people fear.
Yeah, it was a nightmare scenario.
And then
That's
I
the
had
one
a
I
C-section.
wanted to talk
so
about.
I mean, we have a little bit of everything.
We got all the bases covered.
Yeah.
We have a medicated birth, vaginal birth, an unmedicated vaginal birth, and a C-section. What else is there? Is there any other kind?
I don't think so.
I think
we
got to
come out either through or out of. So
yeah, and then we'll probably just get started talking about what happens once you bring the baby home and how that changes your relationship with your partner, with your family, your friends, with yourself, with your work. Literally everything changes. So
the expectations, breastfeeding, yes or no, and if you don't, are you a villain? Are you selling your baby short? No, by the way.
No, our answer is no. But
and a lot of the things, by the way, I think I should throw this out there before we delve into another thing. We appreciate the feedback. I don't read a lot of the things just because I know myself. I get triggered by things, and I just don't. I vowed that when we wanted to do this stuff, and it's more for sharing, and whoever can take something from it takes, and whoever doesn't. But we don't speak in absolutes. Everything isn't about everybody. It's not about every single woman. It's not about every single man. These are just, we've lived a life. We've talked to a lot of people. And the reason that we came to do this podcast was because we wanted to share a lot of the common things that, get expressed and whatever. And we thought it would probably and hopefully do some good for somebody who is on the road to experience whatever we're talking about, etc. So, every woman may not experience what we're going to talk about. Every man may not. I just feel I got to throw that out there because,
Yeah, I hear you. And you know what? On disclaimers, a couple other ones that we wanted to make. One was that, yes, this is not for everybody necessarily, meaning that it's not necessarily going to be your experience.
Yeah.
But two, just wanted to say that this could be a little bit triggering, this episode. We know there's a lot of people who struggle with fertility, with becoming a parent, and that's a really big deal. And if you have sensitivities around this topic, we are going to say some things, and I know I certainly have some things to share that are probably not going to paint me in the most flattering light. Well, and that's okay.
But it's your journey, and this is part of what we say. Right. Not everybody talks about it because you feel shame. You feel, what's wrong with me? You feel, okay, I don't think this is the right way to feel, and you don't want to say anything because you feel like they're not going to understand, or they're going to say, well, what the hell's wrong with you?
Right. Nothing. But I am going to share it though. And because I know that if I've experienced it, there's probably someone else who has to or will. But anyway, just if you are sensitive around this topic, this might be a little bit triggering for you. So just wanted to put that out there before you start listening. And the second thing is, to the extent we talk about anything like medical, we're not doctors. So please don't take our advice.
Our podcast is based on our experiences, what we've learned and what has been shared with us.
My legal training has taught me to give the disclaimer. Okay, so I am going to tell you to please contact your doctor. Do not take any medical advice from us. We are not dispensing medical advice. I don't dispense legal advice on this podcast either. This is for funsies. Okay.
Yeah.
So with that being said, where should we even begin?
So I think we left off on all the...
I don't remember where we left off.
I think it was like body changes and all the things that, were happening. I don't believe we discussed birthing.
Well, you did talk about your experience, like when you first saw your baby, but
I did.
So we did talk about that, but not so much the process of like giving birth, which I remember being so anxious about. Like that was always in the back of my head, like oh my God. And you know what, I would used to describe it as feeling like I was on a roller coaster and it was going
waiting for
click, click, click.
Well,
and waiting for that drop. That's how I felt the entire time of pregnancy because, I wish it came with like, it's definitely going to be this day and this time, but you literally have no idea. You could be doing anything.
You haven't around. Yeah.
And it's like, so I'm just like, is it
now? It's like waiting for that wonderful Amazon package and like, or whatever. It's like 3 to 9 days. And you're like, is it the 4th? Is it the 5th? No. But I will tell you that on that note, when you're talking about waiting, for the when's the moment, is it going to be today when you wake up and you're wondering, is it going to happen today? Where am I going to be? I find it now, I don't remember who gave me this advice. If I read it or whatever, I heard someone on a talk show back when I was pregnant. I'm afraid of giving birth. Well, honey, that ship has sailed.
Well, yes, but it's still scary.
No, I know, but why are you going to worry about it?
You can't help it.
Worry about it for 8 months or whatever. That moment is going to come. Yes. So don't spend 8 months worrying about the inevitable. Worry about it the month you're due. But the 7 months leading up, you have 2 options: a C-section or a vaginal. That's it.
True.
And if you're worried about pain, you get your epidural, hopefully, or you get there in time. Or you're going to have a C-section, which I had, and I had fine. I did not have a problem other than my wonderful little hemorrhoid that I got.
Well,
I discussed that.
We'll talk about
didn't I discuss that already, or did I?
I don't know. We'll talk about hems. Don't worry about it. We have a lot of hemorrhoid talk.
Which was the genesis of this whole
that
thing.
Actually. That was, if we really peeled back the layers.
That's how we got started.
This started with hemorrhoid talk. But I'll tell you a thought that helped me. I hear you what you're saying. You're absolutely right.
I mean, you're just gonna anxious. Yeah,
you're right. Don't let that thought like ruin it. What helped me, I remember I used to live in New York at the time, so I was walking a lot and seeing a lot of people, and I would just look at everybody and be like, okay, somebody birthed you. Like every single person on this earth is here because somebody birthed them. Like I will get through it. But it was really, really scary nonetheless. I found I had a lot of anxiety around that. And it turned out my first birth, I had no reason to feel scared for because it was perfect. It was like textbook giving birth. My water broke like in the movies.
Oh.
Like my water broke in the middle of the night. I went to go pee and then it was like, whoosh.
Oh, wow.
It broke and I woke up and I told I woke up my husband, and my mom was staying with me, and I was like, let's get ready. I took a shower. I put on a little makeup.
It's like Lucy. Have you seen that episode?
No.
I'll always reference Lucy. Oh my God.
I don't watch that.
It's the best.
It's not my demographic. That's on my age bracket.
Well, it's a classic.
I'm just kidding.
Jerk. Educate yourself.
I'm just kidding.
Educate yourself on I Love Lucy. Oh my God, it's the best show.
I only know. Okay, no, let's not go
ahead.
there.
Yeah.
So I got ready. I got to the hospital, checked in, no problem. Got an epidural, took a nap, hung out. Had a baby. Now, the only thing that happened during that birth that I just want to warn some women about, because I was, I was so embarrassed. I wanted to die. So, when you have to push, they get your legs and they put them like by your ears, and you're just like spread eagle.
Some hammy stretch before
you're out there. The whole
and you don't
thing's
care,
out.
Though. At that point, you're kind of like, please just.
No, and by that point, by the way, you've gotten like
turkey basted.
You've gotten so many hands up your vagina, like throughout the entire pregnancy. They don't even warn you for the number of times you get checked. And that day, they're constantly checking. So I was like, whatever. But here's what I wasn't. When you start pushing, sometimes you fart. And
well, if you haven't shit the bed, because...
Oh, and I did that too.
Yeah, because if they don't give you an enema, by the way, if they haven't told you that, a lot of times they will give you or offer. I'm not sure if it's mandatory or not, because I didn't go through it. They didn't offer it to you?
No.
Okay, they will give you an enema to clear you out so that when you're pushing, you don't have that lovely experience for everyone around you.
I didn't know that I did. I didn't feel it because I had an epidural. You don't feel anything. And then I asked my husband, and because he's not a gentleman, he was like, yeah, you did. And I was like, oh my God. And then as I'm like pushing, it's just these farts. They just keep coming out. It's like a machine gun. It was like, it was so embarrassing.
Beautiful. Yeah, you'll have to edit that out of the home movie.
I wanted to die. And I kept saying like, I'm sorry. And they're like, don't worry, everybody does it. And I'm like, I can't. Like, my husband's never heard me fart before because I don't do that.
Okay.
We're not that kind of couple. Well, he is. I'm not.
We haven't gotten that comfortable yet, right?
I was it was so embarrassing. And just ladies, I just want you to know, you might fart a lot when you're
you might be a
pushing.
little gassy.
You might be a little gassy.
But they do. I know that that's one of the things that they will either. I thought it was mandatory, but.
No, and for my second one, I was eating a full-on what was it? It wasn't a chimichanga, but it was something. It was like a hearty Mexican.
Like a foot-long Johnny Rockets hot dog.
No, it was like a hearty Mexican meal that my mom made, and I was like, "That's not what you want to eat right before you go."
Oh no! So
eat light, ladies.
All right. So you had a first one that was textbook, okay, and your second one.
Oh, so not textbook at all. Like I think I was expecting to have a similar experience, and my water didn't break. All I had was Braxton Hicks, and a lot of pressure, which I guess is like, hi, you're in labor.
Yeah.
But I had a lot of Braxton Hicks always, so I didn't think anything of it.
With your distorted baby.
With my crazy trapezoid belly. And then my mom was the one who was like, no, you need to go to the hospital. Like, drop the chimichanga, please.
Put the food down, lady.
Go to the hospital. And I'm like, all right. And like halfway to the hospital, I started to be like, oh, this is kind of painful. Like, I think this might be it. And get to the hospital. It was COVID time, so it was understaffed. Everybody was giving birth that day, I guess. And they took forever to get me checked in, and they can't give you anything until you're like formally admitted. They had no rooms for me. By the time I got into the room, I knew it. And I looked at the nurse and I said, it's too late for an epidural, isn't it? And she gave me she was heartbroken for me. She was like,
that's terrible. See, that's when you start to worry.
Oh, I did.
And
she just looks at me like, was like, yes. And I was like, oh, fuck.
She knew. She's like, this girl is about to go through it.
And it was so...
But fast, right? Because
it went the whole thing from beginning to end was probably like 2.5 hours.
That's pretty.
So it's not bad, but that's a long time to feel a lot of pain. And the feeling, the sensation for anybody who's curious about what's the sensation of a human exiting through your vagina hole, it feels like someone took a match and just lit it on fire.
And you can feel that even with the epidural?
I didn't have the epidural.
Oh, that's right. Baby number 2. Sorry.
No, baby number 1, I didn't feel anything. I was just
jeez.
farting.
Right,
and
right.
I was really like silent, and like
Okay.
all you could hear was my farts. The second one was very chaotic. I was screaming.
Oh my God, I can't.
And I was yelling fuck a lot, and the nurse got mad at me, and she was like, "Why you say fuck so much?" And I was like, "Because that fucking hurts. It fucking hurts, bitch. Like, what do you think?" Juan was in a corner, like completely, like he didn't know what was going on, and
Mortified that you were screaming as much as you were.
I think he was like worried.
He was embarrassed. Oh,
no,
I thought he was embarrassed. I thought he was like, I'm never going back in that hospital again. I'm still traumatized.
no. But you know what? They did talk about it because when I went for my 6-week follow up at my doctor's office, she was like, "Yeah, I heard it was pretty eventful," and like the.
I mean,
you know
some
what?
things just keep them to yourself.
I was probably very dramatic, but it hurt a lot.
Oh yeah. So there you go.
So you
don't
feel
be,
that, and
what good is it to worry about? Okay, if you don't have an epidural, it's gonna hurt. I think you knew that before. Nobody ever said giving birth was.
it was about as bad as I imagined it to be. But
you got
know
through
what?
it.
But you get through it. And here's the other thing that sometimes you probably should know, but maybe you don't. You also give birth a second time to your placenta. Not everybody tells you that you also have to pass your placenta.
Yeah.
So they start like
pushing it,
and then and if you have an epidural, you don't feel it. But when you don't, you feel this gloppy like. Bleh.
That's what a miscarriage feels like.
Well,
I mean, I think 11 or 12 weeks, something like that. I mean, and who knows? Maybe it was less. It was so long ago, but I do remember that sensation. I was bleeding heavily, and then I went to the doctor on emergency, and then he told me, "Oh, you're having a miscarriage." So much so that he said we have to do a DNC, and I didn't even know what that was. Like I didn't know the term, and I was like, "Oh, okay." Went straight to the hospital, and then when I was in like the not waiting room, but your first like
the triage.
Yeah. I had to go to the bathroom, and I went to go pee, and I felt like that. It was like a water balloon.
Yeah.
But jelly. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like it was what's the word that moldable? I don't know.
Malleable.
Yeah, like it wasn't like firm. It was,
right.
And I was like, oh, and I felt it.
Oh my
splat.
gosh.
And then I flushed, and I didn't know. And the nurse was like,
what are you supposed to do?
They're supposed to take it to like examine and see, make sure. I don't know.
Oh yeah, because they test
I
it.
was 22 years old.
Yeah.
Everything was like new. I didn't know, and I was, sad at the moment. I was
Of
like,
course.
oh, and then you do have that moment of feeling like you failed. A fail.
Yeah.
You don't think that that's gonna, but that's what you're sad about. You feel like I couldn't do it.
Like your body failed you,
Yeah.
and that's your job as like a woman, right? Is to make a baby.
Yeah. I mean, I was sad for a little while, obviously, and then you move on and life goes on and whatever. But I remember when I got pregnant, that I worried a little bit. Like I wanted to get past that marker and make sure that everything, especially after the endometriosis stuff and whatever. But after having one miscarriage, you think, is it just that I can't carry a baby?
Of course.
Is it,
Well, you know what's interesting? I've been hearing this topic come up a bit, and I'm curious what your thoughts are because there's the general advice I feel is always like, don't tell anybody that you're pregnant until this is kind of
the safe part.
Yeah, until you're past like the 12-week mark. And I think a lot of women abide by that because I guess the idea is if you were that's when your chances of miscarriage are highest. And if you have a miscarriage, like you don't want to have to tell everybody, right? But the flip side of that is that if you have a miscarriage in that time frame and nobody knows you were pregnant,
then nobody knows why you were.
You have nobody to lean on when it's the pain, the sadness, all those feelings that you had, like you're just supposed to keep them to yourself.
Yeah.
And so I myself kind of abided by that rule. Only my close family knew that I was pregnant, but I'm starting to think like, man, I know it's personal, but like, isn't it better to share it?
If you want to share it, and if you're happy to share it,
Yeah.
and if you've had multiple miscarriages and you're like, I don't want to keep, now you don't want everybody to know that, damn, she's had 3, like,
I know.
I don't know.
but
I think it's a very personal thing, but I think, especially, and I think this goes for a lot of the topics that we're going to discuss throughout. I think sometimes sharing is so much better, or you never know who could use the information that you're sharing. That's why in my circle, in my life, in our groups, I've always been the oversharer. I've always been the TMI, and God forbid you give me a cocktail or two, and I'm an open book, and not always
when
has
you're
that.
at your best.
Not always have the things I say. You have diary of the mouth regret the next year, like, oh, fuck, what did I say, or did I really say that, you know?
But I think that's such a refreshing quality, because why are we pretending like, if you've been through something, why not let someone know in case they need it, right?
So that's always been I share because I'm not ashamed or embarrassed, and it's real life things that happen. Like, half of it's funny, like, and embarrassing, whatever,
or not funny. It's sad, but like, I think in those moments where something like really devastating can happen to you, like, what you need, I feel, the most sometimes is community. You need people like to help build you up and pick you up when you're at a really low point. And so this idea of like, oh well, I'm not going to share it, I'm going to keep it to myself, and I'm going to suffer alone, it just makes me sad. Like, and I feel like we need to like give people space to share.
And a place where if they tell you something and it's maybe not in your comfort,
it makes you uncomfortable,
you'll just say, oh, I'm so sorry to hear, and move on. Maybe they needed to tell somebody. Maybe that's their way of dealing with it, of not being alone or whatever. You don't have to say, hey, why did you tell me that, or why?
Please don't say that.
I mean, maybe that person is telling you because they need an outlet of some sort.
Honestly, sometimes in so many situations, there's nothing anyone can really say that's going to help. It's just the fact that someone listened. So if you're feeling uncomfortable, if someone drops something on you, you're like, oh shit, I was not prepared for that bomb. Like, you're right. Just say like, oh wow, thank you for sharing with me. I'm so sorry.
Is there anything I can do for you?
Yeah.
Or,
and it's probably just enough that they let it out.
Yeah.
Well, this took a darker, like a more serious turn, which is fine.
We're sharing. I
know. But let's circle back now to, we've had our baby.
Well, I had a C-section. And,
right. Oh, your C-section.
And we discussed the ripening of the cervix.
We did talk about that,
the night before, and mine did not ripen. Mine was a very green cervix, apparently. Got the Pitocin to induce some stuff. Nothing, 1 centimeter. And so the baby's heart rate was either dropping or speeding. I couldn't remember. The doctor said, look, we could be here another 24 hours. I'm like, let's do the C-section. I'm not like standing firm on I need to have natural. Whatever works, whatever is good for the baby, let's go. Like, so we went and got my epidural, and then you're, numb from the neck down. And you're very vulnerable. You're in a room full of like 20 people, and you're just laying there like a whale. Just all exposed. And you're like,
nice
wow.
Visual.
Okay, yeah. And you're just looking around, and you're just naked as a jaybird, laying on a bed, and you're going, okay, well, everybody's there. It is. It's all here. But it was cool, and they did a little curtain thing, and my husband was in there, and he kept telling me that baby wasn't going to be more than 8 pounds. She's not going to be more than 8 pounds. I'm like, listen, she's been up in my rib for like a month. I can't
She's had a
eat
foot in my esophagus
for under my, like here. And I was like, oh, and every night I'd have to push it down. And no, girl, she was 9.2. He reached in, pulled her out, and he's like, wow, where did you have her? I go, under my rib. That's what I've been saying.
I've literally been saying it for months.
9.2, my baby.
She's a
Johnny
big one.
Rocket.
Well, that's what happens when you eat a hot dog every week.
Every Friday. And yeah, when she cried, that was like the most poignant moment, I think, of my life. And it caught me off guard. Like, I didn't expect it, but something about it was just, I guess, relief too. She's healthy. She's here.
Yeah.
And then the after stuff and the recovery. Did you have any issues in post baby?
No. So I didn't. Everything, thankfully, for both kids, we made it out like all healthy and great. What I will say is,
did you have to get stitches?
Oh yeah, both times.
So
both times.
That's something that
it was something. But you know what? It wasn't that bad. I didn't find that to be so terrible. I did have one rogue stitch that kept getting in my butt. Like every time I would move, it would poke me all day long just to remind me of what I'd been through. But here's something.
The tragic car accident that was going on.
But here's something I did want to mention, because this is another piece of thing that I immediately, you start feeling guilt from the moment your baby is born. I feel like you're just like, the mom guilt is like, I've arrived and I'm never going to leave your side again. So they had asked me, do you want to, this was with my oldest, because with my second, there was no nursery. It was COVID, so there was no nursery.
Oh.
So he stayed in my room with me both nights. With my first one, they asked me, do you want to send him to the nursery? And I was like, I did, because I was tired. I was it was an exhausting day. But I felt so guilty. And I was like, no, leave him here with me. Not because I wanted him there, which sounds bad, but like I need to sleep. I was so exhausted. And my husband couldn't stay with me. So it was just me. And that night was one of the worst nights I've ever had in my life. He woke up crying. I had no idea how to breastfeed. He pooped and it was like that meconium. So it's that really, it's like tar.
Good for you for remembering that name.
Yeah.
Word, thing.
Well, it scarred me. It was
like tar.
It's like tar and it spreads and
Yes,
it's...
gentlemen, I recently talked to, sorry, but I recently heard from them. They had no idea that was coming.
Oh.
And I'm like, so you did not go to the classes, or I'm not sure why you didn't know that, but it's a very common, famous, and it might surprise you, and it is. It's like their first poop or two, right? Like
Yeah.
a couple.
Yeah.
It comes out like black tar.
It's like black tar and it was spreading all over him and he was crying he was so like full of rage and I couldn't get the diaper on and there was poop all over me and him and I just like called the nurse in a panic and I was like, just like bring the nurse. And then when she came in, I was in tears, he was in tears. And I said to her, like, just take him, like, please just take him to the nursery. And then she did. And she was like, no problem, Mom. And she like takes him and she thought it was fine. I sat there for the next 2 hours sobbing. Like,
really?
I felt so guilty that I had sent him away, that I had failed my first night, that I was already failing as a mom. And the next morning, the nurse came to me, another nurse came and she said, I heard you had a tough night. And then she gave me this most beautiful pep talk I've ever had. That is why I will always love nurses. They're like my favorite. And she kind of made me realize, and so I'm sharing it with all of you in case this happens to you. Like, girl, no, like it's the baby's fine. You need rest. You just went through something like really intense.
Yeah. Your body is.
And it's okay to rest. And so the second night I sent him guilt-free to the
Mine to the nursery. Which maybe we can segue into this because this has always been a big topic and you and I have talked about this. And I didn't breastfeed. I never wanted to breastfeed. It just wasn't something.
What was it about it that made you feel like this is not for me?
No, I don't know. I can appreciate that it's beautiful. I can appreciate for the women that enjoy it. You know, I can understand it. I just didn't feel that pull to do it. I don't know why. My mom apparently breastfed all 5 kids. You know,
God bless.
I know. Yeah. No. And I guess, I mean, at the time, I don't think I had seen a lot of people, go through it or, I don't know. I don't know. But
you just know that you did not want to.
And I told my doctor ahead of time, already preparing for but why not? But, they're going to send in the Leche League and have them all come and give me a sermon. And he's like, you're better off. That's fine. Just make sure you take your ACE bandage for wrap up. And I was like, went and bought like 4. And I was so happy. He made such a difference. God rest his soul.
That's nice.
He was wonderful. And his partner came in and said, I'll get you to breastfeed. And I'm like, you see, challenge accepted. Like the gauntlet went down and I instantly did not like him,
right.
And I'm like, why? If I'm already telling you, I'm not afraid to do it. I just don't want to, and I didn't. And when I got to the hospital and the nurse was kind of like, you're not going to breastfeed. Nope, here's my bandage. And
not even like the colostrum, nothing?
Nothing. She bandaged me up and I felt, fine as far as that. They give you in the hospital, you have those little, I think they're 1.5 ounces. Those little
the formula
things are 1.5 ounces. So when Emmy started eating, she was having 3 of those. So she was
a larger
4.5 ounces in the hospital.
Oh my God.
So he's like, when he pulled her, he goes, you would have been a walking refrigerator. I go, you see, that's why.
You knew instinctively.
And side note, there's some advice I can give some new moms or if you're thinking about it, some benefits and some plus sides to having formula versus breast. I mean, I kept it room temp. I always gave it to her room temp, which was one of the baby shower advices I got was do it room temp because imagine this was 2001. We didn't have modern things like plug-in bottle warmers in the car and whatever. You could feed your baby at any time, anywhere because it's room temp and she was great. And if it was nighttime, we would set them up all on the nightstand. And if it was my husband's turn to feed, he would grab a bottle and feed her. We didn't have to leave the room. I mean, it was a wonderful piece of advice. He was all for it for me not breastfeeding. He was fine with it. And it, my baby got all the immunities. She didn't get her first cold till she was 2.5 when she was already in daycare. I mean,
Yeah.
So breastfeeding is a hot topic because women carry this guilt of, they have to, and they feel like failures if they don't. I'm like, listen, your baby's gonna be fine. And if your baby's crying, they're freaking hungry, man.
There's such I don't know where because I was a formula baby. My mom gave me formula. I feel like that was kind of like a normal thing. And then all of a sudden it wasn't. And it became I don't know where the push came to suddenly make everyone breastfeed. And listen, there's obviously lots of benefits to it.
Yeah. Mammals.
Number one, it's free. Number two,
it's with you wherever you go.
It's with you wherever you go. You don't have to have it specially shipped like I did. Like the
it's a little
formula.
messy. It can get messy. When you leak.
Breastfeeding? Oh,
when you leak,
yeah. But they have lots of tools for that now. Like that's
now,
manageable.
But
like there's lots of and not to mention there are health benefits to it. I'm not going to deny it.
It's natural. I mean,
I found it to be fucking horrible, and I hated every second of it. And I tried. I gave it. Well, I gave it a month, so it's not.
Well, listen, that's a long try.
But a lot of women try it a lot longer.
Or a lot less. Listen, I would probably give up after the first day if it didn't take. I would just be like over it. That's my patience threshold. And if my baby's screaming, please feed. I can't do it. I quit.
I mean, I gave it the old college try for a month, and it kind of ruined my ability to bond with Oliver, my oldest, because
this is important.
Yeah, my nipples, ladies.
Well, maybe not that part.
My nipples are so important.
We're going to talk about.
I am. I'm going to get there.
Okay, but we're going to talk about the nipples first.
But I'm going to start with my nipples.
Yeah, your dry, cracked, bleeding nipples.
Girl, they were bleeding. They were cracked. They were dry. They were so painful. I would also get my ducts would get clogged. This general area was in so much pain. And then of course it's a newborn baby. They're hungry. They cry. First of all, when they're that little, you're pretty much feeding on demand. They're not really like on a schedule.
And they fall asleep a lot of times when they're either breastfeeding. Sometimes you have to wake them. You're did they eat enough? Did they not? Which means they're only going to sleep a very short amount of time.
Yeah, they're waking up a lot to eat. And so this baby, my son was like, crying a lot and always needing to feed. And I would put him on my boobs and I would just cry because it was so, so painful. And it got to a point where every time he was hungry, I was upset. I was mad at him. And I was like, I would be so resentful of him. Like, stop it.
Stop
like,
crying. Yeah.
Stop crying. Stop being hungry. Like, enough. And I just wanted to get away. I wanted to run away. And then, of course, the guilt of how could you think that about your baby? Like, this is your baby and you're his mother.
Well, at that moment, it's
you're his mother. He's just hungry. And you have all of these horrible thoughts. And then I would cry and cry and cry because I thought, I'm such a bad mom. I don't deserve this gift of this baby. Like, I don't deserve it because I'm such a bitch. And
you're probably thinking, and where the fuck is the gift? Like, this is it? This is what I'm supposed to be over the moon about?
I didn't feel that way.
No. And it's the most, you're going to love it. It's the most wonderful.
Yeah.
Listen, this is really one of the things people are not honest about. That shit doesn't happen for a while.
Well, it didn't happen for me until I decided I'm going to stop breastfeeding. And part of it too was I didn't want to give up because I thought my husband really wanted me to do it. And I thought I would be disappointing him if I gave up because that was my job. Like, this is my job.
Yeah, he can't do it.
He can't do it, and this is on me. And we had decided,
like, formula on your nightstand.
Oh yeah, and he did. And so one night I said to him, we were talking in bed, and I was like, I was in such bad shape. I mean, I was like, it was dark, and I said to him, like, I told him, I feel like I'm gonna disappoint you. And he was like, no. He's like, what's hurting me more is seeing you like this. Like, please just like stop. As soon as he said that, it was like the weight of the world lifted off my shoulders.
The clouds parted.
The next feeding was a bottle. And from that moment on, that's when I started to bond with Oliver. And I started to feel like, oh, okay, so this is what they're talking about when they say, like, you love this baby more than anything. And it started there. It could not have started before that because I was in such a bad place mentally and emotionally. So
And it's so scary, that in the first baby, everything is so new and everything is so, you know, even from the moment you put it in the car to come home from the hospital and you walk through the door and you're like, well, now what do we do now? Where do we put it?
It's like, so weird.
How do you pick back up where you were? Because when you left the house, you didn't have this. Babies. No. And you walk in, you're like, well, they're in the carry, and you're like, I guess I'll set her down in the living room with us, you know, and it's like this weird kind of like.
It's so weird.
It's like having a puppy. Like I've told you, that's the closest thing, I know, but the closest thing to really understanding the responsibility, the crying, that needing to take them out, the needing to, you know, it's a demanding thing that needs to live and can only live if you feed it. If you know, so it's a little warm up game, you know, at that point.
Get a puppy.
Yeah.
Well,
so you started bonding.
And I just wanted to share that because again, it doesn't make me like the best, or sound like the best, but I share it because I think there are women who put so much pressure on themselves to breastfeed, and if it's impeding your ability to bond with your baby, like maybe just think about that. Like just think about what's more important to you in that moment, or know that it's okay to let it go, and that maybe it's not going to look the way you wanted to. I can't.
But to who? That's the other thing. We think, you know, sometimes you feel this pressure or whatever, and who are you going to let down? Who's there helping you? Like you have to be able to function and live your life, and you have to do what works for you, your partner, whatever fits your life. And if you're doing this because you feel that you're going to let others down, let them down.
Yeah, like the public.
It's survival.
Who cares?
Who gives a shit? And for your mom, your whoever, you know, this is what I can handle. Yeah. And your baby's going to be fine.
My baby was totally fine, super healthy.
They're going to eat
big
like
chunk of monk.
Of course, because they're getting food, you know.
And you get to split the responsibility, because when you are breastfeeding, man, it's a big job for a mom to handle alone. Like you're the only one.
Now you pump and they freeze and whatever, and but the dads can do it. It's still you have to pump.
You have to do it. You are the only one. And so being able to share that with Juan, and being able to be like, okay, like I get these 3 and you get those 3, and like being able to trade off sleeping. Like it would, some nights I'd be like, it's your night, man. And I would get a full night of sleep. You know what a difference that makes when you're in that sleep deprived state. So there are, I did the room temperature, and I would also give it to him cold. Sometimes it was in the refrigerator.
Yeah. They don't know the difference. They only know what you give them. So
I would say, don't get your kid used to something you cannot provide at any given moment. That would be
all time. Right.
Like that's the same with like the warmer wipes.
Oh, wipey warmer.
Yeah, like no.
Just breathe.
No, because when you're out like in the park or a restaurant or wherever, and there's no wipey warmer, like then he's gonna start like going crazy when you do the cold wipe. So my biggest tip on that is just do not get your kid used to something you can't provide in any given scenario. Yeah. That's just, don't do it. Do yourself a favor.
Yeah. I had a thought of something about the post baby, and now I can't. I know with breastfeeding was a big one. I mean, we didn't do it, and that was fine. There are some women that that really want to. You know, it's not a pressure of they feel like they have to, but some women really want to, and sometimes they can't. No one's gonna give you a blue ribbon if you do it or don't. You're not gonna get a gold star, and everybody's gonna go yay. And if you don't, they're not gonna like give you an, F. Yeah. If you can't,
you don't get kicked out of the club.
You don't get. I mean, and you're. I guess hey is one of my troop. Your baby will be fine.
Your baby will be fine. And I was going to say, if you really want to, there are, you don't have to do this by yourself. There are lactation consultants that you can reach out to. A lot of hospitals have like free classes that you can go to.
Come to your room. A lot of times they'll ask you want one to come by.
Yeah, no, but my experience with that was like they come, it's like a check the box exercise. They're not there to teach you anything. No, but if you go to the hospital, sometimes they offer free classes that you can go to. There are YouTube videos you can watch to learn holds and like.
Wow, things have changed.
Yeah, there's a lot of support. So you can keep trying if it's something you really want to do. When you decide that you want to stop or whatever, you know what really helps with because your breasts don't stop producing milk just because you decided to stop feeding it to your baby. So they will keep going. You have to eventually like your body has to stop doing it once it realizes, okay, there's no more baby to feed. And it hurts. It's really painful.
It gets hard. Doesn't it get hard?
They get really, really hard and it hurts. Cold cabbage leaves were a godsend.
Really?
They would really alleviate the pain, and something about the cabbage I think helps dry up the milk faster. And there's other things you can do to dry up your milk, but that to me was the number one most helpful thing. Yes. So get yourself some cold cabbage leaves, ladies.
Okay. Probably where your farting came from. Were you eating cabbage? I know. Well,
and it was not.
I don't know.
This was after. I've never farted since. How dare you?
How dare you? Yeah, you don't.
How dare you? How are we doing on time? Where are we?
Well, we're good. It's a very full of info episode.
It is.
So
I just want to know, because should we dive into your relationship and what changes there?
We don't have time for that on this one, but I'm just thinking of if there's any, like right now, I think today's was just literally postpartum. Like,
yeah, this is like those first early days.
First, like in the hospital, I want to say this. You see, we have so many conversations off camera that sometimes I don't remember what I've said here and what we've talked about. So after I had a C-section, and I think because of the pressure that I had with the weight of the pregnancy, I did not push. I didn't have to push.
Oh, hemorrhoids.
But that's hemorrhoids. Well, I mean,
let's do it. Let's go.
It was my first experience with it, and I remember, you're uncomfortable. You have the scar, and they do come, the stitches or whatever. They do come massage that like the next day, and that's uncomfortable.
I'm sure. And that doesn't sound good.
And honestly, the thought of them, and you're like, oh, you're gonna push on my stomach? What? I have stitches. Like, so I remember being uncomfortable, but nothing like.
You survived,
right? What I couldn't do was pee for whatever reason.
I think you might have shared this.
Yeah, and I had to go and pour warm water. And anyway, if it's a repeat story, sorry, but it got to the point where I couldn't pee, and my husband was asleep in the bed. Oh, and I sent my baby back. That's where I was looping around. I sent my baby back to the nursery every night because I knew that these were the last 2 or 3 nights I was ever going to have.
Just enjoy it, guys.
Right.
And you have every night with your baby.
Since I wasn't breastfeeding, they could give her the formula if it was feeding time. On that note. So then it was getting close to like the second day and I still hadn't peed. And I'm like, oh my God. And the nurse says, honey, if you don't pee, we're going to have to put a catheter back in. No. And they suggested one last thing. So if this happens to anybody, go in the bathroom, have them give you a pitcher and get warm water. And you just sit in the shower and just keep pouring warm water. And that, will the muscle reflex or whatever. And I finally peed. And that was wonderful. Yay. But I did develop a hemorrhoid. I had never had one, and it was extremely large. And so I had to say, this can't be normal, what is happening to me. And I showed my mom, so much so that I showed her because I didn't even have to move.
That's brave.
Show her the area. I just stood there, and it was like
peeking out of your butt.
It really was
peeking out of the butt cheeks.
Mm-hmm. That's how big it was. And I started crying, going, what's happening to this? Terrified, going, what am I going to do with this thing? Like, is this going to go away? It did.
Deflated.
But it took a while. And that was probably more painful than the stitches. And it was like, but you didn't push. I'm like, I know. But I guess the pressure of everything, it was awful.
I fully agree with you that the hemorrhoids was worse than anything that happened during the giving birth process. Mine, I never looked. So I don't know.
I didn't have to look.
Okay, clearly. Well, yours is like a mutant hemorrhoid.
It was a mutant. Shit was on steroids. It was having Johnny Rockets hot dogs.
That's what
right along with my
guys.
baby.
This is why your doctor says not to eat hot dogs.
Yeah, I don't know. I was on steroids. That thing.
Mine, I don't know. I don't even know if they were internal, external. It must have been external because eventually I did go to the doctor. But it was so bad. Every time I would go to the bathroom, it was like a murder scene. Like the toilet was bright red. I was bleeding like crazy. I couldn't sit. Everything hurt so bad.
Then you have stitches, and you have that, and it's just everything. That's why
so bad. And then I would not want to poop, so I would hold it for days. And then what happens when you hold it for days? You get it gets really hard, and then it hurts more. And so I was like, it was this vicious cycle. And
add to that, your baby's hungry. You have to feed. You haven't.
Your
slept,
nipples are bleeding.
That's why when people say, "Oh, you're not going to sleep," it's not just that.
Yeah.
And the newness, it's new, but there's just so many little things that are going on all at once that you're like, okay, get me off this ride. I want to go back.
I changed my mind.
Yeah.
And so I finally went to the doctor for my 6-week visit, and I told him, and he was like, oh yeah, I see a little something there. And I'm like, little something? Like, this thing has been ruining my life. It's
huge. It sits next to me in the car.
And he's like, well, why didn't you come earlier? And I was like, I don't know. I didn't even realize I could. You told me to come back in 6 weeks. I came back in 6 weeks. So if you are suffering with a hemorrhoid, you don't have to wait the 6 weeks. You can go see the doctor sooner. He gave me a suppository, which I had never done before, and he brought me sweet, sweet relief. He gave me a cream, and I forget what else he did. But it was, and Miralax, which is a miracle drug. Within like a week, it was gone. And I felt so much better.
And we came up with the taco.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Our
Because you
little
also
hemorrhoid
get
taco.
okay. So here's the other
here
trick.
we go.
You want to do it?
Described it.
You want to do it? Okay.
You do it.
So, you know those Tux pads that you get. So it relieves the itchy, burny sensation.
Yeah, it's like the Tux. You'll see them in the grocery store. They're like a little Stridex pad, like the little round
But
wet
for your
But they're
butthole.
witch hazel.
Yes, and they're for your butthole and for your hemorrhoid. And I think you're just supposed to like tap and wipe or whatever. But Claudia and I, unbeknownst, we didn't even know we were both doing
both
this.
Invented it.
Yeah, we both came up with it. You fold it up, and then you stick it in your butthole.
Oh no!
Not in your butthole.
I wrap it around the little nubby of the hemorrhoid whenever he's rearing his head.
I would fold it. Like
I would like
a
make
little,
a taco.
Like a taco.
Right. Well, my hemorrhoid was the meat of the taco. Totally disgusting. Here's our TMI.
Yeah.
But so it would wrap the whole little thing because to me in my mind, as long as this thing is covering it, it's going to reduce it and shrink it, and it's going to go away.
I would make a tortilla for sure.
Okay.
And then I would stick it in my butt. I guess in between my cheeks where the thing was. Yeah. And then you just walk around with the taco in your butt
a little
all day.
wet patch. And you're like, is it still there? Did it fall out? The things you have no idea that are going on.
So you know what? Be kind, because you never know when someone has a taco in their butt.
Has a Tux taco in their butt. And their panties are wet. Their panties are wet because that little Tux pad is, having some witch hazel.
Tucked away.
It's tucked away.
It's safely tucked.
It helps because the mind-numbing pain of a hemorrhoid.
So bad.
You
can't live. You can't function.
You can't function.
You can't think of anything except.
And people say, I don't know, I've never had one. And I've tried to explain, like when my daughter says, I don't go, it feels like this. So I'll take my finger and I'll poke her in the arm, right? And I'll just hold it there, like pressed hard. I go, no, I'm going to be here for the next 36 to 72 hours like this. And she's like, no way. I go,
But it's also itchy burny.
Mine doesn't itch and burn. Mine was just
burny.
like a pressure, like a painful. And it's funny because I guess until my Emmy was like 15, it didn't happen often, but if either I was going to the bathroom a lot or something would trigger it, and then, then a nurse friend of mine said, well, just push it back in. I go, what did you just say to me? You nurse thing, you're a nurse. You're going to push.
Yeah.
And she goes, no, man, in the shower. And yes. And you would think, listen, why do they give you suppositories when you have pain and I don't still understand. They've got to come up with the last thing you want is something going near your butthole.
But it feels good.
But you got to be there, and you don't want anything to be there because it's so uncomfortable.
But I don't want to push my hemorrhoid back in.
When you're in the shower, believe it or not, you push it in, the pain is over. It's over. Once it's back where it belongs, once
it's back home.
Once it's back home, you feel instant relief. And let me tell you what, and in the shower, it's no big deal. You're washing anyway, and you're like, boop, and it's gone, and life continues back to normal. So you can do that too, girls.
All right. Try that out. Just see let us know how it goes.
If you have one, I guess you could push yours back in too.
Do not ask me to do it.
Sometimes some women will have a permanent one that ends up being like a deflated little balloon. It's like a little skin tag type thing.
Oh, yeah.
I think there's things for that now.
You can do like a surgery.
Or they tie it to cut the blood flow, and then it I don't know. I wouldn't be able to have that.
You need a pristine butthole to
Well, I don't want to feel it. I don't have to look at it clearly, but I don't want to know it's there. No, I do not.
Well, so guys, we know that her butthole is free and clear
of skin tags and hemorrhoids. Thanks.
As far as I know, mine is too. Yeah. I'm not really checking in that area generally.
Yeah,
so
but you wash and you would know.
Well, I wash. Well, yeah. Okay. I've never felt anything that's not supposed to be there.
Right.
So I guess that's an A for that. And maybe we should just cut it off here. Let's leave everyone with the mental image of our buttholes as our departing thoughts. And do you want to do a card before we head
let's
out?
do a card.
All right, let's do a card. Pick one. Okay, so this is the part of the show where we pick one of these. What are these cards called? Delve deck, and they just have random questions, and we like them because they help us actually help you get to know us a little bit more, because they're just like funny little questions. This is a fun one. Okay, last one was not that interesting, like your favorite dessert. Who cares? No. But what's this one?
What human body malfunction drives you the craziest? A malfunction. Does that mean like when you're hurt somewhere, or like I don't even understand.
Like a fart?
I don't even understand.
I know.
What is a malfunction?
I know one.
Like,
okay, if my parents are watching, turn it off.
yeah,
just
yeah. This is your hint. You have 10 seconds.
My parents are my siblings. Okay,
yeah.
Like
you don't hear. Yeah.
I love you. Bye. A queef.
Yeah,
that is just
why it's no. Why do they have to? Why do they exist?
I know, and they're so, and you can't control
and you're
them.
Embarrassed, as if you did it on purpose,
as if you did it to yourself, like you did. I mean,
it's and it's funny. There was a time in my life, I guess, that they happened for a while, and I was still mortified. I was like, if I could control, I don't get them that often, which is great. I guess
in a while either,
yeah. I think your body kind of, I don't know. Reabsorb.
It throws you a bone once you hit perimenopause.
Yeah, and you're just like, girl, we got you. We're done with that. Let's go on to something else.
That's a young girl's game.
Yeah,
but yeah, it's really bad because it can go on for a while. You can't stop it.
Like, I thought we were done.
It's so loud.
Oh, it's so.
Yeah.
Again, a woman thing. Like, why didn't men have to have some sort of?
And if they did, they probably wouldn't even care. So.
Yeah, and we probably wouldn't either. Like, we would just laugh it off at this. But why are we so embarrassed at something we have no?
Because it's just
awful. Just know we're embarrassed and just
gentlemen, don't even mention it. Yeah, just don't say a word. You just
I've heard stories where guys are like, yeah, like they had some, and I'm like, what are you proud about? I don't understand.
Okay. Literally don't say anything. I don't want to know if you're turned on by it because that's gross. And I don't want to know if you're turned off by it because then you're an asshole. So you know what? Just
you don't win on this one.
Let it go. Just let it go.
Yeah, we are mortified. That's all there is to that.
And that's the name of that tune. Thank you for joining us for the TMI.
We'll definitely continue with a part 3.
Oh, for sure.
And then
this is
even a part 5.
We got a lot.
So much.
There's so much more to say. So thank you for joining us. Please follow us on Instagram or TikTok. TMI FYI. Make sure that you subscribe anywhere you get your podcast, Spotify, Apple. We're on YouTube, and leave us a rating, a good one. Give us 5 stars, but just rate us because it really helps our numbers, and so we'd really appreciate that. And if you have any feedback, questions, anything you want us to talk about,
topics or any other. We can always revisit topics.
We can always come back to things, or if you have your own TMI or FYIs that you want to share.
Yeah, we'd love to hear that.
We'd love to hear it. You can email us, ask us at tmifyipodcast.com, or slip into our DMs. And and that's all we have for today. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.
Bye.
See you soon. Bye.